I'm 28, work in marketing for a mid-sized tech company, and have been renting a two-bedroom apartment for the past 3 years. Rent is 1,800 a month, which I can handle on my own, but having a roommate would obviously make things easier. I've always been the kind of person who helps family when they need it, maybe too much sometimes, but that is how I was raised. My cousin Tracy is 26 and also works in marketing at a different company. We've always gotten along really well. She's smart, funny, and seems to be very career driven. Our families are close and we see each other regularly at holidays and gatherings. Some time back, Tracy called me, sounding devastated. She told me she had been laid off from her firm downtown and was struggling to pay her bills. She said she had gotten 2 weeks' notice and severance, but it was not enough to cover rent. She was living in a $1,200 studio and was already behind. She said she might face eviction. I felt terrible for her. Marketing is a volatile field, and I knew plenty of people who had gone through layoffs. She asked if she could crash on my couch for a while. I agreed immediately, but then realized the couch was not a long-term solution. I had a spare bedroom that I used as an office, so I suggested she move in. I told her the first month could be rent-free while she looked for work, and then after that we could split the rent at $900 each. Seemed like a win-win. She would have stability, and I would have help with expenses once she got back on her feet. Tracy was grateful, nearly in tears, and kept thanking me. She seemed stressed but motivated, spending hours on her laptop showing me resumes and talking about applications. She told me about interviews, rejection emails, and how competitive the market was. I felt sorry for her and told her not to rush into the first job she could find. During that time, she contributed in other ways. She cooked often, did most of the grocery shopping, and kept the place spotless. I appreciated that, and it seemed like she was doing her best. By the end of 2 months, I was starting to feel the financial strain of covering everything alone, but I did not want to pressure her. She kept telling me how guilty she felt and promised to pay me back once she got a job. 2 more months passed and it was the same story. She said she had interviews that never panned out. She mentioned freelance or contract work, but never actually got anything. She seemed more withdrawn and possibly depressed. Meanwhile, I had to cut back on my own expenses. I stopped eating out and limited entertainment. Tracy noticed my situation and apologized often, promising again that she would repay me. After some time, she told me she had a promising lead with a startup that matched her skill set. She seemed genuinely excited and said the interview process would take a few weeks. Around the same time, I decided to attend this marketing summit. Tickets were definitely expensive, but it was a great networking event, and I thought I could maybe find leads for her too. She said she wished she could afford to go, but could not while unemployed. I told her I would look out for opportunities for her. The morning of the conference went normally. I networked, attended panels, and felt good about the people I was meeting. In the afternoon, different companies presented their major achievements. When XYZ Digital Solutions, keeping it hidden, was introduced, I barely looked up at first, but then the CEO announced new promotions and called people on stage. That is when I heard the name Tracy. I looked up, and sure enough, my cousin was walking across the stage in a sharp business suit, smiling as she accepted a plaque. The CEO praised her work, mentioned campaigns she had led, and said she had been with the company for over a year. She had just been promoted to senior marketing manager. I felt like I'd been punched. I sat frozen, realizing she had been lying to me for around 6 months, while I had been covering rent And stressing over money, she had been steadily employed and even excelling at her job. She had been showing me fake rejection emails and acting stressed about interviews, while in reality, she was thriving. I left the conference early in shock. When I got home, her car was there. I sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes before going in. She was on the couch watching TV and asked how the conference had been. I asked her if there was anything she wanted to tell me. She looked confused, so I told her I had seen her on stage. She turned pale and finally admitted the truth. She had never been laid off. She had stayed at that company the whole time. She said she had planned to move out of her studio to save money and saw my spare bedroom as the perfect opportunity. When I offered it rent-free, she went along with the story. She said she had been saving for a house down payment. Her justification was insulting. She said I was too nice to say no anyway, that she knew I could afford the rent alone, and that she had helped by keeping the place clean and organized. She claimed she had always intended to tell me once she bought a house and would pay me back then. I was speechless. I had eaten ramen to save money while she was making more than I was. I told her she needed to move out. She got defensive and said that was unfair, that legally she was a tenant and I could not just evict her. She promised to start paying rent now and eventually pay me back, but she also acted like I was overreacting. That night, I barely slept. The betrayal felt crushing. She had lied to my face for months, fabricated emails, and watched me worry about her while she prospered. The next morning, she acted normal, made coffee, and talked about weekend plans. When I brought up moving out, she said she would look for a place, but it would take at least a month. She clearly thought things could go back to normal. She did not seem to understand that the issue was not just the money, but the manipulation. I started researching tenant rights in my city and realized she was correct about needing formal notice. The thought of a legal eviction process was exhausting. I decided to confide in my older sister, Jessica. She was horrified and said our parents needed to know too. That made me realize Tracy's lie had roped in the entire family. Her parents had been praising her resilience and thanking me for helping. My mom had sent her care packages, and my dad had given her gift cards. Everyone had believed her story, and I had confirmed details whenever they asked me about her. I told my parents over dinner. They were shocked. My mom felt awful for sending her money. My dad said it was essentially fraud. Word spread quickly, and soon most of the family knew. Many were angry, especially those who had given her help. Her parents were devastated and embarrassed. They even offered to pay me back themselves, but I declined because I felt Tracy should be accountable. Tracy was furious that I had told everyone. She said it was a private matter and that I was ruining her reputation. She alternated between angry accusations and tearful apologies over text and phone calls. Some relatives tried to stay neutral, but others sided with me and said Tracy had betrayed everyone's trust. The tension came to a head at my grandmother's birthday party. Most of the family was there, including Tracy and her parents. The atmosphere was painfully awkward. People avoided her, and her parents looked ashamed. At one point, she cornered me in the kitchen and accused me of trying to turn the family against her. She said I wanted sympathy and that I should have kept it private. I told her she had made it a family issue by accepting everyone's help under false pretenses. I was not going to lie to protect her. She accused me of destroying her relationship with her parents and making gatherings uncomfortable. I told her she had done that herself. I left the party early. Others did too. The whole family dynamic felt poisoned. Tracy is still in my apartment, technically paying rent now, but not acknowledging the $5,400 she owes me for the 6 months she lived here for free. I do not know whether to pursue it legally or chalk it up as an expensive lesson. The bigger issue is the family drama. Some people say I did the right thing by telling everyone, while others think I should have kept it private. Tracy's parents are still struggling with humiliation. Tracy herself is furious and insists I ruined her life. Now I feel naive and too trusting. I do not want to become cynical, but this has shaken me badly. I lost money, peace of mind, and a relationship I thought was close. So here I am asking strangers, did I do the right thing by exposing Tracy to the family? Or did I let my anger push me into making things worse for everyone? Should I just focus on moving forward, or should I demand accountability from her for the rent she owes? I truly do not know anymore. Update 1. I wasn't expecting my last post to blow up, but reading through the comments has been helpful. A lot of you pointed out that Tracy is manipulative and needed to face consequences. That validation mattered because I had been second guessing myself, especially with all the family drama surrounding this. Many people asked about the eviction process and whether I had started it. I hesitated because in my city, tenant law favors tenants. And even though Tracy had been lying about her circumstances, she had established residency. I was worried about the cost and time involved in formal eviction proceedings, especially since she had finally agreed to start paying rent. But yesterday, things took a turn I did not expect. I came home from work to find Tracy packing boxes. She had resisted moving out for months, but I was so shocked. She had resisted moving out for months, so I was shocked. When I asked what was going on, she said she had found a new place and would be gone by the weekend. I felt relieved, but also suspicious. Tracy had been manipulative from the start, and the sudden change made me wonder if she was pulling another trick. When I asked where she was moving, she stayed vague, saying she had found a better situation. Later that evening, my phone blew up with texts from family. My aunt had called my mom and explained that she and my uncle had given Tracy an ultimatum. Either Tracy made things right with me and paid back what she owed, or they would cut contact. This shocked me because I thought her parents had been minimizing things. It turned out they were furious. They had been helping her with car payments and insurance during her supposed unemployment, and they felt betrayed when they learned she had been working the whole time. They were also embarrassed now that the extended family knew she had been lying. The ultimatum was not just about paying me back. Her parents wanted her to apologize to everyone she had deceived and repay anyone who helped her during her fake unemployment. They told her directly that her behavior was unacceptable. Tracy's response was predictable. She got angry and defensive, accusing her parents of siding with me and abandoning her. She insisted people were overreacting and claimed she had always planned to pay everyone back eventually. She argued that the timeline did not matter. When her parents stood firm, she lashed out, saying if they were going to treat her like a criminal over something so minor, then she did not need them in her life. She announced she was moving out and that the family could keep their drama without her. That is when the truth came out. Tracy was not moving into some random apartment. She was moving in with her boyfriend, someone I had heard about but never met. According to my cousin Lisa, who knows Tracy's co-workers, the boyfriend makes good money and has been asking Tracy to move in with him for months. This floored me. Tracy had another option the entire time she was freeloading off me. She lied not only about being unemployed, but also about having nowhere else to go. She could have moved in with her boyfriend whenever she wanted, but instead chose to live rent-free with me because it was easier. The revelation made me furious. It is one thing to lie about work, but it's another to pretend you are out of options when you're not. She deliberately chose to exploit me rather than move in with her partner. I confronted her about it that night. I asked directly if she could have lived with her boyfriend all along. She got defensive and claimed moving in with the boyfriend was a big step she had not been ready for. But then she contradicted herself, saying their relationship had gotten more serious recently, which was why she was comfortable now. The timeline did not add up. I told her that knowing she had other options made her behavior worse. She was not desperate, she was strategic. She had a safety net and still chose to freeload. Tracy snapped back that I was being vindictive and that her relationship was none of my business. She said I was just looking for reasons to stay angry instead of accepting that she was moving out. But the details matter. This was not someone who stumbled into a mistake. This was someone who planned and executed months of lies for financial gain. The family's reaction has been strong. Relatives who had tried to stay neutral are now openly disappointed. My uncle, who had been defending her, admitted her behavior was calculated and unacceptable. Her parents are devastated. My aunt even called me crying, apologizing for her daughter's actions and saying she did not understand how Tracy became this way. She offered again to pay me back herself, but I refused. She then asked if there was anything else she could do to make amends. I feel bad for them. They are good people who raised Tracy with better values, but they are now embarrassed and heartbroken. They're dealing with the fallout of having family members question Tracy's character and their own role as parents. As for the rent, I decided to pursue it more aggressively. Several commenters pointed out that this was essentially theft, and I should not let her walk away. I plan to send Tracy a formal demand letter for the $5,400 she owes. If she refuses, I will take her to small claims court. I know she has the money. She's been employed this entire time, saving what would have been rent. She also has the means to move in with her boyfriend, which proves she is not financially struggling. There is no reason she cannot pay me back except that she does not want to. Tracy's supposed to be fully moved out by Sunday. As soon as she leaves, I will change the locks and do a thorough inspection. Given her track record, I do not trust her not to cause damage. This experience has been emotionally draining, but it has also taught me important lessons. I will be much more cautious about helping family in the future. I need to verify people's stories and set clear boundaries, even with those I think I can trust. I do not want to become cynical, but I also cannot afford to be this naive again. In some ways, I'm glad Tracy's true character has been exposed. Her reaction to accountability has revealed who she is, and the family needed to see that. Keeping her secret would have only enabled her to continue manipulating people. I will update again once she's out and I see what happens with the money. For now, I'm preparing myself for the next steps and making sure I am protected moving forward. Update 2. Well, things have taken a turn I did not expect. Tracy moved out on Sunday as planned, and I thought that would be the end of everything. I was wrong. During her last few days in the apartment, Tracy was cold and distant, barely speaking while she packed. I did not mind. I was ready for her to go. On Sunday morning, she loaded her boxes into her car, left the apartment key on the counter, and drove away without saying goodbye. I checked the apartment afterward and found no damage. At least she had not tried to get revenge. And that afternoon, I changed the locks and began turning the spare room back into my office. It felt good to reclaim the space. My plan was to send her a demand letter for the rent she owed, but I decided to wait a few days. Then things got strange. On Tuesday, my cousin Lisa called. She works in marketing at a different company, but knows people at Tracy's company. She told me there were rumors about Tracy, specifically questions about her ethics and professionalism. Lisa had no details, but said the talk was serious enough to spread in the local marketing community. I was curious, but did not think much of it at first. The next day, I got a call that changed everything. A man named Mike introduced himself as Tracy's supervisor at Tracy's company. He said he had my contact information from her emergency forms and needed to talk about some discrepancies they had uncovered. Tracy's company had been auditing employee expenses and found irregularities in Tracy's reports. She had been claiming reimbursements for conferences, workshops, and networking dinners that either did not exist or that she had never attended. She even created a fake conference with a website and promotional materials, submitting receipts for registration, hotels, and meals. The total came to more than $3,000. The part that involved me was that she had also claimed reimbursement for evening networking events and client dinners on dates when she was supposedly home with me, stressing about unemployment. Mike said her explanation was that she had been freelancing and confused expenses, but their investigation found no evidence of that. He called me because Tracy had listed me as a reference and he wanted to verify her situation. I told him everything. Tracy had been living with me, pretending to be unemployed, claiming to be job hunting, while in reality she had been working full time. Mike was stunned. He said it explained many inconsistencies, such as Tracy's vague answers about her living situation and her unusual amount of personal time. By the end of our hour-long conversation, it was clear Tracy had been deceiving more than just me. She was running a large-scale fraud against her employer while lying to her family. Mike thanked me for my honesty and said the company was considering involving law enforcement. He also said they would likely terminate her employment. I sat for a while trying to process it. Tracy had not only lied to me, but had been stealing thousands of dollars while living rent-free. I called my sister Jessica and told her what happened. She was shocked, but said it made sense. If Tracy was already committing fraud at work, then lying to her family was just another layer. Jessica pointed out that Tracy's financial situation was probably better than any of us thought. She was earning her salary and pocketing fraudulent reimbursements while pretending to be broke. I called my aunt and uncle, Tracy's parents, to tell them. My uncle broke down, saying he did not understand how his daughter had turned out this way. He felt like he had failed as a parent. My aunt was furious. She said lying to family was one thing, but defrauding her employer was criminal, and she could no longer defend Tracy. She asked me to update them on anything I heard. Word spread quickly among our extended family. Even relatives who had been neutral now cut ties with Tracy. My grandmother, who always tries to see the best in people, said she was ashamed, did not want Tracy at family gatherings anymore. By that evening, nearly everyone knew she had been terminated for fraud, and the family consensus was that she could not be trusted. This morning, Mike called again. Tracy had been officially fired, and Tracy's company was pursuing legal action. They calculated she had stolen around $4,200 over 6 months and were working with law enforcement to file charges. He added that Tracy had tried to excuse herself by claiming personal stress and financial hardship, telling supervisors she had been unemployed and housing insecure. That was the same lie she had used on me. The irony was hard to miss. Tracy was using her fake unemployment story to explain her actual fraud. She had crafted an image of being desperate and struggling, while in reality she was stealing and living comfortably. I decided to move forward with recovering the rent she owes me. Given that she's facing criminal charges, I doubt she will pay voluntarily. But I want a legal record of her debt in case restitution becomes part of her sentence. Update 3. I thought the drama with Tracy was winding down, but I was wrong. This week has been overwhelming and I'm still trying to process it. On Monday, I was at work when I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it because I had been getting calls from reporters and curious people who heard about Tracy's situation. But something made me answer. It was Tracy, crying and panicking. She begged me to meet her somewhere private. Against my better judgment, I agreed to see her at a coffee shop near my office during lunch. When I arrived, Tracy looked awful. She was pale, exhausted, and jittery. She apologized immediately and told me her life had completely fallen apart since being fired from Tracy's company. The legal situation was worse than I realized. The company was pursuing civil action, but the district attorney was also considering felony fraud charges since she had stolen more than $3,000. Her lawyer warned she could face significant jail time because the fraud was systematic. On top of restitution, she might owe penalties and legal fees. Then she told me what she claimed was the real story. She said she had developed a gambling problem over the past year. According to her, she started with small online wins during the pandemic but soon spiraled into debt. She claimed she owed dangerous people money, and that was why she had moved in with me. The fraudulent expense reports, she said, were tied to those debts. She insisted her actions came from fear, not greed. I listened but did not believe her. Tracy has a history of lying, and this sounded like another manipulation. If she truly had been in danger, she had months to tell me. Instead, she kept up her unemployment charade. I told her her explanation did not excuse her lies or the fraud. She became desperate and offered to pay me back immediately if I wrote a character letter for the prosecutor. She said family support could help reduce her sentence, and she promised to seek treatment. I told her I needed time and left. That evening, I started investigating. I called my cousin Lisa, who knows Tracy's social circle. Lisa had never heard about gambling problems or threats and said Tracy always had money for shopping and social activities. I also looked online. If Tracy had been gambling heavily, there would be some digital trail. When I asked her for documentation, she claimed she deleted everything out of shame. The more I thought about it, the more her story felt fabricated. On Tuesday, a detective from the police department called. She was investigating Tracy's case and asked about Tracy's behavior when she lived with me. I was honest, including her recent gambling claims. The detective told me Tracy had given them the same story, but they had found no evidence. In her experience, fraud suspects often claim addiction to seek leniency. The detective also shared something Tracy had not told me. The investigation revealed she had falsified timesheets and claimed overtime pay she had not worked, raising the total theft to nearly $6,000. That amount placed her firmly in felony territory and made the gambling defense less believable, since her actions were systematic and planned. After that call, I was convinced her story was just another lie. On Wednesday, my aunt called me in tears. Tracy had been arrested and was being held in jail before arraignment. Her lawyer advised her to plead not guilty, but the evidence was overwhelming. My aunt begged me to write a character letter, hoping it might help with sentencing. She promised she and my uncle would pay me back the rent money. I felt sorry for them. But I told her I could not vouch for Tracy's character. She had lied to me too many times, and I did not trust her anymore. I also mentioned her manipulation with the gambling story. My aunt was disappointed but said she understood. She asked if I would at least talk to Tracy's lawyer about the rent situation. I said I would consider it but wanted legal advice first. The next day, I met with a lawyer who specializes in white-collar crime. He explained I could sue Tracy for the unpaid rent, but I might be behind other creditors if restitution was ordered. He also warned that Tracy could try to involve me in her defense by claiming I knew she was unemployed or complicit. He said people facing serious charges often shift blame. He advised me to document everything and limit contact since anything I said could be used in court. This morning, Tracy called again. She was out on bail and claimed she had new documents proving her gambling story. She wanted to meet and show me, but I declined. I told her to have her lawyer contact mine regarding the rent. She became angry and accused me of abandoning her. She said real family members stand by each other no matter what. But I see it differently. Tracy made deliberate choices to lie, manipulate, and steal from people who trusted her. She's not a victim of circumstance. She systematically exploited everyone around her. I told both my parents and hers that I will not have further direct contact with Tracy until her case is resolved. I'll cooperate with law enforcement if needed, but I refuse to be manipulated again. The family is divided. Some relatives believe we should support her because she is family, while others think she must face the consequences. Her parents are heartbroken, torn between helping their daughter and being ashamed of her behavior. As for me, I plan to pursue the rent money through civil court once her criminal case ends. My lawyer said having a judgment might help if restitution is part of her sentence. For now, I'm focusing on moving forward with my life. This whole ordeal has been exhausting and has changed the way I view trust and family. I never imagined someone so close to me could be so consistently deceptive. It has made me cautious about helping people, even relatives, without boundaries or verification. Looking back, I am relieved I exposed Tracy's lies when I did. If I had not confronted her at that conference, she might have continued indefinitely. She never intended to be honest. She needed to face consequences. I hope my experience serves as a warning. Sometimes the people who seem most in need of help are the best at manipulation. Trust but verify, and do not be afraid to hold people accountable when they betray that trust. Stay tuned for more stories from Our Girl Relationships.